Another boat tragedy for North Africa migrants bound for Europe. The U.S. Voting Rights Act turns 50. And the latest viral video from campaign 2016. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Esther Githu. This is Africa 54. Vincent Makori is off today. The latest migrant boat tragedy in the Mediterranean Sea off the coast of Libya has claimed at least 25 lives and hundreds more are feared dead. An overcrowded fishing boat with at least 600 people flipped over on Wednesday as an Irish rescue vessel approached. Desperate passengers surged to one side as they spotted the ship, likely causing it to capsize. Officials say at least 370 people have been rescued, but after an overnight search, the Italian Coast Guard says they did not find any more survivors. The UN Refugee Agency's chief spokesperson says the fishing boat that capsized was carrying way too many people.
It was a fishing boat. It was packed by survivors' accounts with about 600 people. These are boats that, should only have about 30 or 40 or 50 on board, not 600. So obviously the people were stuffed down into the hull, shoulder to shoulder, feet to feet, in every nook and cranny. So much that when a rescue boat approached, people became anxious and excited and tipped the boat over so that it capsized, and according to people on the rescue boat, it sank within minutes. And there were bodies in life jackets and debris in the water, and rescue ships did what they can to rescue people. Luckily, they were there. At least 400 have been rescued. Unfortunately, 25 so far dead.
Some of the survivors are now arriving in Italy. The Mediterranean Sea is the world's most deadly border area for migrants. More than 2,000 migrants and refugees have died so far this year in attempts to reach Europe by boat. A suicide bombing attack has rocked the town of Aba on Thursday in southwestern Saudi Arabia. Saudi state television is reporting that at least 17 people are dead and 9 others were wounded after the attacker detonated the device inside a mosque in a local security forces headquarters. 10 of those killed were part of a state security special emergency force, according to the television station Al Akbariya. In May, 2 suicide bomb attacks on Shiite mosques in Saudi Arabia were claimed by the Islamic State. A group claiming to be Islamic State militants has released a video threatening to behead a Croatian hostage if the Egyptian government does not release Muslim women from jail. The video, unveiled on Wednesday, is believed to come from the Islamic State's Egyptian affiliate group in the Sinai Peninsula. The man, identifying himself as 30-year-old Tomislav Salopek, said he would be killed if Egyptian authorities do not give in to the demands within 48 hours. It is not clear whom the group wants released from prison. Croatia's foreign ministry confirmed that one of its nationals was kidnapped in Cairo last month. This week on Africa 54, we're highlighting U.S. President Barack Obama's Mandela Washington Fellows program. For 1 week at Tulane University in New Orleans, the yearly fellowship focused on the role of art and civic leadership. We got to spend some time with a Nigerian artist who uses his skills to help build relationships in his home community back in Nigeria. Here is Olakunle Adiwale in his own words.
My name is Kunle Adewale from Nigeria. I'm studying civic leadership at Tulane University as part of the yearly program for 2015. I'm an artist. I'm also an art educator. I teach in schools, teaching kids, and I work in the community with non-governmental organizations through art therapy, art workshops, by engaging the people in the community. So that's part of what I do there in Lagos, Nigeria. I think that art has a relationship with building the community, because art connects to everything around us. Art can be used for activism, art can be used for advocacy, and I think that art also connects to politics. Art can be used as a voice for the voiceless. Art can be used as a tool for the helpless. Art can be used for empowerment for the downtrodden. I applied to Yali because I want to be a better leader. And I also know that Yali has opportunity of connecting me with people, professionals who are in this field, and who will be able to mentor me and guide me to achieving more with my programs in Nigeria. I have opportunity of driving around New Orleans, and for me, it was an awesome moment seeing the mural painting and trying to learn about how the environment is being represented in art. I've been able to see how art connects to history, how art has been used to immortalize people, how art is used to educate people, how art is used to preserve history. Today we visited Whitney Plantation here in Louisiana. I was disturbed, I was in pain, I was crying because these people had no power to free themselves. Nobody could come to their rescue. They were here working day and night, and in the process they lost their lives. And for me, this is a moment of emotion for me that I can't really control. I hope the government will continue to fight anything that promotes slavery in any kind, in any form. I hope the government will be able to stop it. This painting is especially for President Barack Obama because he is my hero. Yes, we can. That's the title of the painting. I believe that alone we can do little, but together we can accomplish more. So I've been able to integrate how the United States of America is empowering Africa, a collaboration program to help young leaders in Africa develop their potential to the fullest and see how they can impact their community. Yali informs, Yali transforms, Yali gives you a platform.
And in today's second Yali profile, we had a chance to spend some time with a young woman from Burundi who has made it her ambition to educate young people about sexual and reproductive health. We caught up with Mireille Kayeye, studying with the Presidential Precinct at an organization that educates international visitors interested in nation building and the development of civil societies.
My name is Mireille Kayeye. I'm from Burundi, and I'm studying civic leadership at the Presidential Precinct, University of Virginia. I work as a communication specialist for Family Health International. We provide training sessions on life competencies things, such as HIV, sexual education, financial education. Most of the times what I do, I talk to a group of young people, girls and boys. We talk about sexuality, we talk about the use of condoms as a way of having good health. We talk about teen pregnancies, we talk about STIs. I applied for this program because I always felt that I was a leader. I felt that I was a leader, but not a completed one. So I always wanted to learn more because I was passionate to see people helping others, and I wanted to be one of those.
This is the Superdome here that was full to capacity, so at some point there was no vacancy.
Yali is all about teaching us as Africans how to find African solutions to African problems. And I got to discover that once I was here, because I always thought, well, Africa has many countries and we probably have the same issues, same challenges, but we never really got to gather together as united to find common solutions to us. And this is where it starts. I see in Yali a solution to us as leaders, and then once back we will implement the same thing and keep this important network to be able to collaborate and work together as a team to find solutions for the whole Africa. It has been fascinating, actually, to connect with American history. I always read articles and books, but this is kind of the first time that I get to be at the place where things are happening. And visiting that place in Williamsburg, understanding the struggles and the fights from African Americans was very important for me. It was a way to understand where we are now, to understand America, which is actually a country that is made by many Africans, and a country that struggled with racism, and a country that uses those differences as strengths. This has been a life-change experience for me because I have 24 new friends from different countries, and I can't wait to visit them, first of all. And I loved listening to what they are doing back home. So I hope to be friends with them forever and to build with them a new Africa, an Africa that will have good leaders as we are. Yali makes you something new. Yali makes you discover something you even didn't know you were able to become. Yali made me know that actually I need to stop to dream, but start act. So you need to apply for Yali if you want to change the world, not the world only, but change Africa and also bring solutions back home in your country.
Tomorrow on Africa 54, we'll profile 2 more Mandela Washington Fellows, so be sure to tune in. Now, academics from across Africa recently converged in Johannesburg for the African Universities Summit. The gathering offered them a chance to tackle some of the major issues facing higher education in Africa today, like brain drain, funding, how to improve research, and develop cities to draw in more students. Here's more from VOA's Anita Powell.
Universities are key to Africa's development, academics say. But African academics say that from the Cape to Cairo, a lack of funding, poor infrastructure, and high demand make the task of educating Africa's students a real struggle.
Most countries are trying to increase the number of graduates, university graduates, because it is important for economic development. And but the resources are limited, so that affects quality as well. And therefore we are struggling to balance the two, because you need the quantity, you need more graduates, but you need to maintain the quality, and the resources are limited.
And even at one of the largest universities in southern Africa, money is a persistent problem. The University of Johannesburg recently hosted a summit on improving higher education in Africa.
We've seen some of the funding from governments being shaved off, going down. Institutions have had to find ways of looking for alternatives, making up for this lack.
The University of Dar es Salaam's David Mfananga says advocating for higher education can be an uphill battle on a continent that often struggles with graver problems like war, famine, and poverty. But he says a better standard of university education holds the solution to many of those problems.
You cannot have development without creating knowledge and transferring knowledge.
But experts say governments also need to look at the consequences of churning out graduates.
Once you train all these kids, you fill their heads with a lot of knowledge and know-how. What are you going to do with them if they just get out of university and they are out of a job?
And they say they aren't problems that will be solved overnight. They require massive investment, the commitment of governments, and the combined efforts of everyone involved. But they say that doesn't make this problem any less urgent. The very future of Africa depends on it. Anita Powell, VOA News, Johannesburg.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. And check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, the U.S. Voting Rights Act turns 50. Stay with us.
Wherever you are, Voice of America is on. On air, reaching more than 130 million weekly, worldwide, in more than 40 languages. Online, social media and breaking news from around the world. On the go, dozens of new features on popular platforms with new apps and trending topics. Voice of America, on air, online, on the go.
Now, 50 years ago, lawmakers approved and U.S. President Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The measure outlawed racial discrimination in voting and provided the necessary federal enforcement to allow millions of blacks in many parts of the southern United States to exercise their rights to vote. The law followed years of protests, civil unrest, and bloodshed. VOA's Chris Simpkins has more.
History was made when President Lyndon Johnson signed the 1965 Voting Rights Act. The law is widely considered to be the most effective piece of civil rights legislation ever enacted in the United States.
We will not turn aside until Americans of every race and color and origin in this country have the same right as all others to share in the process of democracy.
The Voting Rights Act wiped out state and local barriers at the ballot box in communities throughout the South that racially discriminated against voters. It also provided for federal enforcement of the 15th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which gave African Americans the right to vote.
The Act of 1965 freed and liberated so many people.
John Lewis, now a U.S. congressman, was nearly killed during a voting rights march in Selma, Alabama in 1965. Scenes of the violent confrontation in which police attacked peaceful demonstrators caused a national outcry and led to swift passage of the Voting Rights Act.
It was worth the suffering of so many people. It was worthy of the blood that some of us gave.
Political science professor Andra Gillespie says large-scale government-backed efforts were launched to register black voters.
The voting rate among African Americans climbs exponentially during the latter part of the 1960s and early part of the 1970s. So there were places in the South, states where hundreds or thousands of blacks could vote.
Black leaders say the sacrifices made to win voting rights should be celebrated and never forgotten. Leo Smith directs minority engagement for the Georgia Republican Party.
I am proud that we have gone from a society where I might have been attacked and beat down like John Lewis was, but he took those wounds for me. Don't waste the blood that was spilled by pretending that his suffering meant nothing.
50 years later, former Atlanta Mayor Shirley Franklin remembers how the 1965 Voting Rights Act gave her an opportunity to seek elective office.
Fortunately, other people saw something in me I didn't see in myself, and they encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone and to run for office. And so my mission since that time has been to encourage other people to do the same.
Political analysts say the Voting Rights Act was a victory for the nation by making one of the most powerful instruments in a democracy, the vote, fair and equitable. Chris Simpkins, VOA News, Washington.
Now, the United Nations Special Envoy on Tuberculosis is tearing up efforts to raise awareness on the need to scale the testing and treatment of the disease. VOA's Damisi Paole reports.
Tuberculosis is the disease that we thought HIV was going to be in the 80s.
Ambassador Eric Goosby says it is important to highlight tuberculosis and its devastating effects on poor populations. TB is an infectious bacterial disease usually affecting the lungs. It is spread through the air from one person to another when an infected individual sneezes, coughs, sings, or speaks. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention says 9 million people around the world were infected with TB in 2013, and about 1.5 million people worldwide died as a result of TB-related infections. The United Nations Special Envoy on Tuberculosis says TB is a serious problem in sub-Saharan Africa.
There are 24 million people infected with HIV in sub-Saharan Africa, and at least a quarter of them are with active tuberculosis. So you've got a lot of people moving around the sub-Saharan African continent who are carrying active TB.
The CDC reports that without effective treatment, HIV and TB can shorten a person's lifespan. Someone with latent TB infection and untreated HIV is more likely to develop TB than someone without HIV. Goosby identifies universal health coverage as the goal of his campaign. He encourages different communities to get involved in raising awareness about the deadly disease.
What you need is a continued educational component, a continued testing component, and a continued treatment component that becomes seamless in its ability to identify, enter, and retain people in care.
The TB Alliance states that over 4,000 people die daily as a result of the disease. Ambassador Goosby implores that just as the world has fought endlessly against HIV/AIDS, similar efforts are needed in the fight against TB. Health experts say there's great need for more public education on TB, proper medicinal distribution, and communal efforts in raising awareness and combating the negative effects of the disease. Damisi Fowle, VOA News, Washington.
The African rhino is a seriously endangered species, and the northern white rhino is on the brink of extinction after the recent death of a female rhino. Now only 4 northern white rhinos are remaining, and one of them is male. VOA's George Putik reports that scientists are using 2 distinct strategies to save them.
The biggest threat to rhinos are poachers who kill them for their horns. In spite of a lack of scientific proof, many in Vietnam and China believe that pills made of ground rhino horns can cure various diseases and disorders. Since 2008, poachers in South Africa have killed almost 3,000 rhinos, and International Union for Conservation of Nature warns that they may become extinct before 2026. The northern white rhinoceros, which is actually gray, is extinct in the wild. There are only 4 animals of this subspecies left, and all of them are held in captivity, 3 females and the only male called Sudan.
If we lost him, it will be a very big loss for the endangered species.
Natural pregnancy and birth among the 4 are unlikely, so at Kenya's Ol-Pejeta Conservancy, scientists are trying to inseminate northern white rhino eggs in the lab and implant them in southern white rhino females.
The initial approach will be to look at in vitro fertilization, removal of eggs from females, 3 remaining females, and mixing those eggs with sperm, which is stored from northern white rhinos across the world, to create an embryo which would then be implanted into a surrogate white rhino female to create a purebred northern white rhino calf.
Meanwhile, 2 U.S.-based scientists say they are using the latest biotechnology techniques to create artificial rhino horn, something that not only looks and feels like the real thing, but contains the same proteins.
We're not bioidentical yet, though that's the goal.
They hope that poachers will find it cheaper and safer to resell the lab-grown horns to their Asian customers as authentic, rather than to risk their lives or long prison sentences hunting for real rhinos. No matter how they test the substance, customers will not be able to tell the difference. Researchers say flooding the market with artificial horns may keep the animals with the real horns safe from poachers. George Putic, VOA News, Washington.
It's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54, Gans and Bacon. The Ted Cruz Way. We'll be right back.
If you've just joined us, I'm Mariama Diallo, and here is a quick recap of today's headlines. In Guinea, relatives of television reporter Cherif Diallo, who has been missing since July 23rd, marched to demand the government to take action. In Cameroon, the country deports more than 2,000 Nigerians living in the country illegally as part of new security measures intended to prevent Boko Haram attacks. In Ethiopia, long-distance running athletes react to the new doping allegations rocking their sport. Finally, in Senegal, a library exclusively dedicated to comics opens in Dakar to encourage the country's young comic enthusiasts to read. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. What in the world is going on here? Believe it or not, this is the latest viral video featuring a U.S. Republican presidential candidate. This time, it's Senator Ted Cruz cooking a few strips of bacon in a unique fashion of an end of a semi-automatic rifle at an Iowa gun range. In a crowded Republican presidential primary, candidates are doing all they can to draw attention to themselves, especially with Donald Trump sucking up all the media oxygen. It's worth noting that Iowa, a key state in the selection process for candidates, is also the nation's leading pork producer. Next up, twins the world over are rejoicing. Former One Direction member Zayn Malik and singer Perry Edwards have called off their engagement. Both Malik and Edwards are 22. The singers got engaged in 2013. Edwards is one of the 4 singers in the girl group Little Mix. Like One Direction, Little Mix was formed on the UK version of the X Factor. The girls won the competition in 2011. Malik left One Direction earlier this year to launch a solo career. He announced last week that he signed a recording contract to release music as a solo artist. And finally, one of the saddest celebrity splits ever. Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog announced their separation, conveniently setting a new dynamic for the upcoming The Muppets television show. In a statement posted on social media, the glamorous and fame-obsessed Miss Piggy and upbeat, affable Kermit said they will not be involved romantically, but will continue working together on television and other projects. ABC's revival of The Muppets, airing in September, will follow the much-loved characters behind the scenes of Miss Piggy's new late-night show in a mockumentary manner. So could this split be a publicity stunt for the show? Stay tuned. And that's what is trending today. That's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. For more news, tune into VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight, at 1800 UTC, and in the mornings to Daybreak Africa between 0300 and 0600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Thanks for watching. Good night from Washington.
Welcome to English in a Minute, where we teach you all about idioms in American English. If you have ever heard American English before, you may have heard this.
Keep your chin up.
What does this mean? Let's find out by listening to an American English conversation.
I don't know if I can take it anymore. First, my car broke down, then I was late for work, and now my boss is mad at me for being late.
You'll have a better day tomorrow. Just keep your chin up.
Keep your chin up means to keep your spirits high and remain cheerful in a difficult situation.
Keep your chin up.
This is an informal expression that can be used in any situation, and everybody in America will understand you. And that's English in a Minute.